Hey, it's Mr. Wilson. Today we're going to go over 5 easy transitions that you can shoot on your own with a phone if you want, or a camera if you don't. Here's the first one. It's called the lens cover. The second one is called the earthquake. The next one is called the orbit. The next one is called the match on action. The next one is called the rotation, which looks like this. Now let's check out how to do these transitions. Okay, first, it's a lot easier to use a phone than a regular camera. Hopefully you have access to one. If you don't have one, maybe a parent or a guardian or an older brother or sister. But if you don't have that, you can use my cameras here and shoot in school. Second, it's important to note how we hold the camera. It's always important that we hold it in our right hand, our dominant hand. If you're left-handed, you can shoot with your left hand. But hold it up like this. And we always want to shoot in landscape mode. Never want to shoot in portrait mode. Why? Because portrait mode looks like this. This is really horribly ugly. Look at these big black borders. This is disgusting. We don't want to shoot like this, right? This is really horrible. So, no. We always want to shoot in landscape mode like this. So much better. Another important thing to do is when people use phones, they tend to hold it down like this. This is fine for when you're shooting, when you're using for text or web surfing or whatever, but look at this. This does not look good, right? So we always want to hold it eye level. This looks so much better, right? And we always want to keep our arms straight out in front of us. So we don't want to hold it too close like this. So arm out with your right hand like this. This is how you're going to frame it at the beginning, okay? Then you're always going to want to wait a couple seconds before your movement and then wait a couple seconds after your movement, because if we don't have that wait time, your transition's really short and it looks crazy like this. That's no good. So we want to look at the camera, frame it well, wait a few seconds, maybe make a face, and then move, right? For our second half of the transition, for the orbit, we're gonna go like this, and then swing it around, frame, wait a couple seconds. Okay, that's really important. Another good thing to do is locate your lens. So if I'm looking at the camera like this, it doesn't look like I'm looking at the camera, right? If I'm looking at my image, I need to be looking at the lens like this. This looks like I'm looking at the camera. How do I know where my lens is? You can go like this. So, oh, there it is. It's right there. I've just covered it up. If you're not sure where it is, you can do that. And then you're going to be looking directly at the camera like this instead of like this, which doesn't look like I'm looking at the camera. We don't want to be going like this. It doesn't really look right. We want to be looking at the camera for our transitions, okay? So let's go and see how to shoot these. Then you go to your second location and simply uncover the lens. You should always do at least 2, one good one and one safety, although I wouldn't recommend doing a whole lot more than that because then you'll have too much footage to go over. So let's go back inside and see how to do the other one. It's also really easy to do all your shots inside and then all your second halves outside. It will save you time instead of going back and forth. You don't have to shoot it that way, but it makes it easier. Okay, the next transition is the earthquake, in which we're going to give our camera a quick little shake like this. We don't want to go like this long. We want to just quick, short shake. Quick, short shake. So there's my first one. Now I'll do the safety. Then, obviously, a quick shake at your second location. Just a quick shake like this. That was good for my first take. Now let's do a safety. Okay, the next one is called the orbit, in which you orbit around yourself. The first movement is this, and you're going to want to make all your movements very fast because we want motion blur, which is where we're going to put the edit to make it seamless. Motion blur looks like this. So that's motion blur right there. So we're going to make sure we get our framing right, eye level, hold it, and then move. So that's one good one, and now here's my safety. Then when you're at your second location, you're going to want to start your arm on your left side like this, and then swing it around, make sure your framing is good, and hold for a few seconds like this. That was good for my first one. Now I'm going to do a safety. That should be good. Now let's head back inside. Okay, so the next one is match on action. Match on action, you want to make a big movement. Easiest to do it with your arm. Other ways you can do it, but just do it with your arm unless you get creative. You want to make a big action. You want to cover the frame, the whole frame with your arm if you can, and you want to make it fast again. Okay, so here's my first one, like that, and here's my second safety. Second location, simply repeat the same action like this, making sure your hand is covering the whole frame. That was good for my first one. Now let's go for my safety. Okay, the next one is rotation. This one's a little bit trickier. We're going to hold it in our right hand on the right part of the phone, like this, and then we're going to simply rotate it like that for our first part of the action. So that part was good. Now for our safety. Then in your second location, you're going to start filming upside down and flip it again. Now it's important when you start recording and then you turn it upside down like this, it's going to show that you're right side up, but you're not, you're upside down. So you're going to want to hold it on the left side of the camera, the left side, and then flip it again, clockwise would be best. Like that, whoop. So when you're doing the first part, you're going to want to hold the camera on the right side of it and rotate it simply like that, boom, like that. And then for the second half, you're going to want to turn it upside down like this. And again, it will show right side up. Hold it on the left side and then just turn it around again like that. So let's go back inside and I'll show you how to edit. Now let's take a look at how we edit it. First of all, I'm going to be using Final Cut Pro. Most of you are going to be using WeVideo. Concept's the same. Let's take a look at the lens cover. Here I have my footage of me doing the lens cover. I want to make that edit as soon as my hand covers the frame. So right there, I don't want to go any further than that. Going frame by frame, using the arrow keys. Right there is where I want to make that edit. So I'm going to trim it down to there. This is the next clip. Again, I'm going to want to get the frame right before I start to take it off. I don't want to start here and have all of that. I don't want to have too much footage. One of the most common mistakes is students have too much footage, too many frames. Edit all that off, and this is what it will look like. Here's the first one, it's called the lens cover. Just cover, uncover really quickly. The next one's the earthquake. The second one is called the earthquake. This is what I don't want you to do. Another common thing. Students will cut to their second half and then they'll have the movement of them turning off the camera. Called the earthquake. I don't want that. Earthquake. And then moving the camera. No, don't want that. Remember, want to hold it. So here we go with the earthquake. As soon as it starts to get that motion blur, frame by frame, the outside doesn't give me as much motion blur as the inside. You can see there's good motion blur. But as soon, just a little bit of shake, and then I'm going to cut to the inside. And it's just going to, a couple shakes, and then that's it. Shake, and we're done. For the orbit. So 5 to 10 frames of transition. We can see here, I'll start moving. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I transition. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we should have anywhere from 5 to 10 frames of actual transition. This one's really important. When I do the match on action, I'm going to get my arm right in the middle. That's where I'm going to make my transition. Right when my arm is in the middle of the frame. Right there. And then when I cut to the next shot, I want my arm in the middle of the frame. A lot of students will not have their arm in that transition. So you want to have the arm in the middle of the frame in both halves of the transition. Boom, like that. For the rotation, I actually want you to make the edit right before you're completely upside down. So I'm not going completely upside down. It's one frame before I'm upside down. And then when I go to the next one, again, I don't want to be completely upside down. So I'm actually going to take one frame off. And sometimes that will be the difference between a good transition and a bad transition. We're going to take one frame off. So I'm going to go here and get one frame off. You can see that I'm not upside down. This is going to be looking better, I think. That looks pretty good. Real quick. A real quick transition. And again, if possible, we want it on motion blur. You see that motion blur? The motion blur is much better inside than outside. You'll probably have the same thing because you should be shooting outside and inside. Those are all the transitions, how to edit them. Good luck.